Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond the Score podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Matthew Supinger, joined once again with my other co-host, Alex Perez. Alex, how are we doing?
Doing pretty great. How are you?
I'm doing. I am here, and I am present. Fall break is next week, though. How you feeling? You got any plans?
None at all. Not be here.
There you go. Colin, what about you?
Yeah, the sentiment with Alex. Try to not be here, but, probably still be here in some capacity. So, I hear you have some plans.
I may or may not. May or may not. I don't want to dox myself.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
The haters are saying that I do.
Yeah, okay.
So
you're just chilling at the house, right?
A little bit. Yeah. I just I worry about, with the paparazzi. I know we talked about it.
That's my fault. I forgot about that.
No, it's all good.
Because it just keeps on getting worse every week.
It is. It's really getting outlandish. We were trying to do an interview with Jeff Hans, and these doors are, I'd say they're pretty thick doors. Yeah. They're made of a material. I'm not going to talk about, all the intricacies. But, I mean, they were about to come off their hinges. So, yeah, I just maybe I'll just keep it on the low this time. I might talk about it when I get back. But
the haters said you're on the move. The haters are right.
The haters were right. They were truly correct on that one. But, yeah, we got a good rundown for you all today. Little pre-fall break rundown. Talking some NKU sports, more college football. What a wild weekend in college football. And then we're talking some NFL. And then some WNBA, of course, playoffs. Yeah. Some teams are not heating up because they already got cooked last week.
Cooked, yeah.
And some teams are still in it, still fighting for the that final spot. But yeah, talking some WNBA and then wrapping it up with everyone's it just announced least favorite podcast segment, post-game presser. So
it's sad it got demoted like that so quick, but it's the ups and downs of the media.
Yeah.
That's what I really blame it on, the media.
I think it is, yeah. Mm-hmm. It is kind of like, I think on First Take, I saw Stephen A. Smith on there this morning talking bad about it.
Was it the Kentucky agenda, you think?
It might have been. It might have been.
Like last week, it was just...
That's probably true, yeah.
We had two Kentuckys, you had Ohio State up there. That might be a recipe. Maybe we need to flip the script this week, huh?
Well, hey, no spoilers, but views might be shooting up.
We might have, yeah.
We might be cooking with this week's episode. But we're going to get right into it, talk some NKU sports. Starting out with men's soccer. They beat Cleveland State 2-1. They extended their unbeaten streak to 7 matches now. Jonathan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not pronouncing it right, but I hope I am. Cohen had a goal within the first minute. Jason Perks had a goal within the 28th minute. They will be back at home against Milwaukee October 26th at 1, that we will both be there for. Mm-hmm. It is Senior Day and Kids Day. Quite an interesting day to have both of those things going on. Nothing more nostalgic than being like, man, I remember when I used to be a kid. Now I'm graduating college.
It's really full circle.
It really is. Maybe that's why they did it. But yeah, what did you see in that match that kind of stuck out to you? Any more big details or anything like that?
Honestly, I think it was the defense because, as you mentioned, all the scoring came in the first 28 minutes for NKU. Mm-hmm. So to still hold off Cleveland State for that long and not let them at least even tie it is very impressive. Nick Lemon just continues to be one of the best in the Horizon League. He's third best in goals allowed and in saves. So he's just been everywhere defensively for pretty much the whole season. So I know we talk about we need aggressive offense, and we obviously got it. But I think the defense holding up for that long after the scoring kind of dried out in this one was the most impressive part for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great game. Like I said, Milwaukee, October 26th at 1, be there, or be square. We're doing free autographs there, so that's another reason to be there.
Yeah.
At least I am. Are you?
I'll let it slide this time, yeah. I'll do free ones this time.
We'll get you some NIL. Yeah. Man, this guy. Steep price. Women's soccer tied with Robert Morris 1-1. They are on a 3-game unbeaten streak, so both soccer teams rolling right now. Lily Yordi scored in the 45th minute. And what other details did you see within that game besides the score that kind of stuck out to you? Very low scoring, but, counts as an unbeaten.
I think just who scored, Lily Yordi just continues to show that she's a multifaceted player. She's 4th in the Horizon League in assists, but also can go out and get you a goal if she needs to. So that was just really impressive to see. This one was about the offense, I would say, because the defense was always going to be there, but being able to score from people that you don't usually get goals from was good to see.
Yeah. They will be going on a bit of a road trip, but they'll be back home against IU Indy October 13th at 1. It's a blackout game. That should be awesome to see. Hopefully we can get some photos and stuff of that. And then October 30th at 7, they are back against Wright State. Lucky club night. So, either of you two going clubbing that night?
Not me, myself. I don't know about Colton.
Colton, are you going clubbing since it's Lucky Club night?
You know, it's something that I usually have to talk with my agent about first. So, you know, will I club that night? Probably. Where will I club at? I have to keep it. You have to keep the paparazzi. You know?
He can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
Mm-hmm. I'll be somewhere that night. Just
okay.
Who knows where?
Will we know, or is that even too much information?
Sorry, guys. It's on a need to know basis type stuff. You know?
Aren't we all really somewhere in this world, though? You know.
There's a phenomenal point. Maybe mentioned at the end of this episode. Some might say.
Ooh.
Heard it through the grapevine. Moving on though to the swimming team. Competed in their first meet in program history. Frank the Tank. We just were writing some about him. Third in the 500-yard freestyle. Patrick Gibbons was second in the 100-yard freestyle. Chloe Loftus, fifth in both the 50-yard freestyle and fifth in the 100-yard freestyle. What a cool way to kick things off. You know, new sport, first meet in program history. And was there anything else that you wanted to detail out of that? I mean, that was just that everyone seemed to perform very well.
Yeah, I was about to say there is not a event at that competition that we didn't get a top 10 place in, so that is just very impressive, as you said, for your first ever meet. Just most of them were top 5, but at least 1 or 2 in the top 10, and I think every event that they had. So you can't ask for a better start to a program, honestly.
Absolutely not. Women's volleyball beat Youngstown State October 4th 3-1, and then October 5th 3-2. On October 4th, we saw some phenomenal stats from some of these players. Sifke had 6 blocks, Ivy had 5 blocks, Bray had 4 blocks. I can't remember exactly how many the team finished with, but I know it was definitely a block party there.
For sure.
October 5th, we saw Lucy Cluxton with 3 aces, highlighting that game. Alex, what did you see between those 2 games against a conference opponent that really stuck out with a big win like this?
Going back to the first game against Youngstown, Ali Sifke, like you mentioned, had a lot of blocks and even broke out the Matumbo finger wag. I don't know if you saw that in the highlights, but it was pretty clutch. She won the game with a block and brought out the finger wag. It was pretty iconic, honestly. Let's see. Banks another double-double. You know, stop me if you've heard that before.
Yeah.
Cluxton with 4th 20-plus dig effort. Lainey Green, 17 assists, 10 digs. Maybe the best defensive game she's had this season in that one. And then with the second one, NKU fell in the first set, but then a dominant 25-7 set in the second where they rattled off 16 straight points, which I was in Regents for that one, and it was pretty electric. So it was really fun to see. It did end up coming down to a 5-set match, and Ava Hoying came up with some timely kills, both to get wins in the 4th set and the 5th set. So it was really impressive to see her come up in that kind of way. And then Lainey Green, another 10 digs and 18 assists. So she was really all about the defense this weekend, and it was good to see. And then Hoying, just to add to the 14 kills that she had, a 314 hitting percentage. So she was definitely on her game in that one.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, no matter what stat you look at, Hoying's been killing it lately and stepping up big time, and perfect time to be doing that.
For sure.
So they will be back at home against Wright State October 29th. It is the hooded T-shirt giveaway.
Ooh.
I might have to stop by for that.
Have to cop one of those.
Yeah. Rounding out the NKU sports, talking some cross country. Welda Michael, stop me if you've heard this as well, ran phenomenally. Finished 19th with a time of 24:18.2. And then on the women's side, Brittany Arnold was the first Norse woman across the line with a time of 19:0.35. So performed phenomenally there. Was there anything else that you saw in cross country that really stuck out to you in terms of the time?
Times, I don't know. I just know Welda Michael is at the top of every list pretty much every time. So I'm really going to have to get out to one of these events and watch just how he runs, because it seems impressive that he's almost first at every event that they've been to so far.
Yeah.
Despite the competition. So That's really impressive.
Yeah. If any of his runs he happens to be near Landrum, make sure you stop by. Got a seat open for you right there if
For
you want to
sure,
sit
yeah.
down and talk some cross country with us. Moving on from NKU sports, though, talking some college football. Man, oh man, what a weekend in college football.
For sure.
What would you say was your game of the week? I mean, there's so many. It's tough to narrow it down to just one, but what is your game of the week?
Well, first off, wasn't this supposed to be a bad week of college football? Because that's what I was told by everybody. That's what I thought myself.
Is that what the haters said?
It was not. Yeah, that's what the haters say. The haters were incorrect this time. My favorite game, I'm an SEC homer, so any big upset there, I'm going to be paying attention to. So Vandy with a 40-35 win over Alabama. I had said previously that Vandy would scare some teams this year. I didn't expect the Alabama nightmare this week, honestly.
It is October, so
That's true.
very scary.
Vandy has lost 2 games by a combined 7 points. One of those was a top 10 team in double overtime. They are legit. The one thing that concerns me for Alabama, though, is unlike most years, they do not have a run game, it seems. And that, I mean, Jalen Milroe, like I've talked about, is legit. But if it's a one-dimensional offense, it kind of hurts what they can scheme up. So they need to figure out what's going on with that run game.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
I mean, there's so many to pick from. I think the game that I enjoyed watching the most was probably that one, watching the end of it, because it did just become like a shootout at a point where it was like, okay, Bama's going to score, Vandy's going to score right back, and then Bama's going to score on 2 straight possessions, make it look like they're going to come back. I will say, I did see a tweet at the end of it, towards the end of it, where someone was like, I get a bad feeling that this is going to be like, and I'm not trying to say that they get calls and stuff like that. That's not my point. I don't want to be sued by the refs. But they had mentioned that they were worried it was going to be one of those, oh, well, Alabama gets a timely turnover and wins the game. But, yeah, I'd have to say that was my game of the week. I mean, that was such a good one. I will say a close one, Washington and Michigan. Wolverines just really aren't that good this year. I don't know if you all happen to know any big Wolverines fans, but let them know that they're cooked now. It was just a really good ending. It seemed like Washington had a timely turnover. Michigan gets it. Actually, it was a really bad pick. So Michigan gets the ball back. They start driving down the field, and then before you know it, they fumble the ball away. Their quarterback situation is a really interesting one right now. Alex Orji is not really that good, it seems like. He has had multiple games where he's had under 100 yards passing. They've won, both of them. But he was pulled in this game and replaced with the backup. Can't seem to remember his name, but I think he's a walk-on. So, yeah, they definitely have some quarterback struggles. But we'll see how that goes from there. Colton, what was your game of the week?
Like you guys said, it's hard to pick. I'll go ahead, since Vandy was taken, I'll go ahead with the other SEC upset, the Arkansas Razorbacks beating up the number 8 Tennessee, or I guess they weren't 8 at the time. Were they 8 at the time? I don't know.
Tennessee was number 4.
Yeah, I was saying, I thought they were higher than that. That's just, I guess, what their current ranking is. The Hogs, I doubted them. I honestly didn't understand why people were, because Josh was saying it beforehand. I was like, nah, this Tennessee team's fine. They weren't fine. They went into a hostile environment with the freshman quarterback, and probably about 6 out of 10 times this is going to happen. So I know Nico's getting a lot of flack for his late game, and it was a stupid play. He ran out of bounds with 0 seconds on the clock. I see what he was thinking. He thought maybe I can get a second left, and if you have a second, you have a better chance than what he had there. So, but I said it on the show on Monday. I feel like with Nico, he's a freshman quarterback. I think people forget that just because of the start that he had. So I just want to see how he bounces back from this. I think that's what separates the average quarterbacks from the Heisman contending quarterbacks, is how do they bounce back from a game like this. And I'm not necessarily saying Nico's going to be a Heisman QB this year, and he has 2-3 more years left where he could potentially be that. I don't even think there's a QB out there that should be considered for the Heisman this year, if we want to get into that briefly. I mean, after Jalen Milroe drops that game to Vanderbilt, I think there's only 2 players you can call for the Heisman. But yeah, that's my game of the week. You all made great points on the other ones, Michigan and Washington. I should have known when all of us picked Michigan, except for Josh, who picked Washington on that. that maybe something would happen there, and it did in fact happen. So I guess the moral of the story is listen to Josh, but that Vanderbilt game is going to be known as one of the defining, iconic moments, I think, of this decade and this era of college football. I mean, they took a goalpost down, took it 3 miles through, or maybe even more, through Nashville to the river, through that thing in the river, and that's just crazy to me. That's just nuts.
Yeah. Quick couple questions for you guys. What's more iconic a game? The Iron Bowl kickoff return for a touchdown, or this? What do you think will be looked at in history as a more iconic game?
I think the Iron Bowl, just because the moment of it and the call is one of the best calls I've ever heard in a football game, and I'm big on that. I know, surprise, surprise, somebody wants to do broadcasting. It carries weight with the calls on how big a game is. But, yeah, I would say the Iron Bowl for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I would stick with the Iron Bowl on that one. I think the more surprising game probably is just Vanderbilt when it beating a ranked team, but that call, the moment, the rivalry, because Vanderbilt and Alabama is not a rivalry nearly the size of that of Auburn and Alabama. Just the moment, everything about that play is perfect. I will say, definitely, this is up there. It's maybe a tier below on that list. I just have the Iron Bowl in its own tier. So, but that's a valid question. I think this was. It doesn't seem like it in the time, but we'll just look back and like what a time, because it pays off. What I forget the guy's name, but the Vanderbilt linebacker said like 7 years ago, we got Bama next, or they got us next, and as a Hurts responded, well, theoretically, and they just absolutely killed them. Well, that dude was just a prophet. He saw the future. It just wasn't the near future.
Yeah. And then second question for you guys. You said Tennessee moved down to 8?
Yes.
And Bama is, I think, 7 now?
Yes, correct.
Do you think that's enough of a drop for each team? Because personally, I don't know. I go both ways. I think Bama probably should have dropped a little bit more. Tennessee, I don't know. I could see both of them dropping a couple more spots, maybe, but I could also see the point of where they were playing more than competent teams, so it's not like they need to drop 12 spots. But what do you guys think?
I don't think you want to ask the SEC homer that, because I feel like it's too far, honestly. I'm just kidding. But I feel like it's right where it should be, really. If you look at, like I've talked about, what Vandy has done this season, I mean, obviously it's still an upset, but it's something that definitely could have happened. The Arkansas one, maybe, but that is also drawing in my hatred of Tennessee, so that may have a little to do with it. So I think trying to be as unbiased as possible, they're good where they are.
Okay. Colton?
Yeah, I would agree, especially with Alabama. Like, they just beat Georgia the week before, so I don't blame that one. But I could see the argument for Tennessee going lower, because I think their best win to this point is Oklahoma. So I guess that is a ranked win, but to me, Oklahoma is just such a football team that exists and is nothing more to me. So I feel like Tennessee maybe had a little more room to fall, but I mean, we all know they'll probably make their way back up here. Well, maybe not Tennessee. They looked a little rough, but. And to Alex's point, yeah, if Vandy's resume was slapped on any other team, I probably would have thought the same thing, because there was the element of you just played Georgia as Alabama, and you got either Tennessee. I think Tennessee next week. I could check that real quick. They got. Oh no, they got South Carolina. I don't know what Josh was talking about then, so just ignore what I was saying. Because Josh said like he thought he was thinking like, oh, this is the perfect storm, but now I look at their schedule and they're playing South Carolina.
It was a good trap game though, for sure.
Yeah, it was a good trap game coming off a Georgia loss for sure. That's definitely a trap game. So if it wasn't Vanderbilt, I probably would have taken it a little bit more seriously. It's just you see that V and you're just like,
yeah.
But
all right.
To just give you all a recap of all the teams that lost: number 1 Alabama, number 4 Tennessee, number 9 Mizzou, number 10 Michigan, number 11 LSU. Number 11 USC. Sorry, number 22 the U of L's. and number 25 UNLV. So a wild weekend in college football, and apparently the next two are just going to be better. So
Yeah, I mean,
I can't wait.
This next one is the one that we've been waiting for years.
For sure.
Ooh, yeah.
It's funny though because you mentioned it last week. I don't know if it was on the show or somewhere else, but like that slate of games, on the 19th almost looks better than the 12th now, and the 12th still looks great. I mean, Oregon, Ohio State is going to be a huge game that I'm excited to watch. I know someone else in the studio is probably a little excited to watch it too. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a great game. I'll spare Matt the details on who I have winning that game, but at the end of the day, honestly, it's just a toss-up because they haven't really played anybody yet. But you got Ole Miss and LSU literally going to probably be a 60 to 61 point game, you know, like no defense whatsoever. And I think that Kansas State Colorado game is a very underrated game at the nightcap at 10:30 at Colorado. So just
Colorado
a great.
has unfortunately been very good.
Yeah, they're actually a pretty decent team.
The haters are bummed.
Yeah. But number one, Texas and Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry for the first time in the SEC era for them is also just beautiful slate of games.
Yeah. I think it's a good way to wrap out the college football segment of everything. Oh, quick run through. Heisman contender or Heisman winner right now. Raise your hand if you still think it's Ashton Genty. Quick to raise his hand over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to run through that real quick.
I would say the only argument you could have is just Travis Hunter, what he's doing on both sides of the field. And that only happens if it just doesn't happen. It's Genty.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on now. We are to the NFL segment of things. Oh, man, oh, man. Quite a week 5. I think all of our teams lost. Yeah. So, pretty bumming week 5. Let's chat a little bit about, if you don't mind me taking the mic for a little bit.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Let's chat a little bit about the Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals. Lost to Baltimore in a heartbreaker in a game that, for all but 5 minutes, looked like, hey, we should probably take this game. But let's chat a little bit about the guy who's heading up this team in Cincinnati, this Zac Taylor fella. Zac Taylor, let's take a quick look at your overall record as a Cincinnati Bengals head coach. You have been here since, correct me if I'm wrong, 2018, 2019?
I believe 19, right? Because it was the year before Burrow got drafted.
Yeah. So you've been here since 2019. Your overall record is 38, 48, and 1. 10 games under 500 there. And almost got a second tie against a division rival. Taking a quick look at your logs since 2021, which we're going to count as the first Joe Burrow year for the sake of conversation. Didn't get injured, had a competent team around him. 2021, you go 10-7, losing the Super Bowl. Good year. 2022, you go 12-4, losing the conference championship against the eventual Super Bowl champions, best team in the league at that time. Finished first in the division both of those years. 2023, Burrow gets hurt. You go 9-8, last in the division. Even when Burrow was healthy, didn't look particularly spectacular. Losing divisional games has been an easy thing to talk about in your coaching career. If you look at the point differential, it has been negative this year and last year. The only times it was positive was the 2 years that you went to the playoffs, the 2 years Joe Burrow was healthy all year. You're starting to see a trend here in terms of when you're successful. You look at the rankings of your offense in the years that Joe Burrow was completely healthy and you made the playoffs. Even this year so far, in terms of points, you're top 10. In terms of yards, top 15. In terms of points on defense, near the bottom of the stack there. Not doing too good. Your best year was 2022 when you were 6th. In terms of yards on defense, never been above 15. So you are, at best, middle of the pack, and that's 15 this year. That is the season we are 5 games into, which I don't even know how, in terms of yards, we're more than 32nd. So you haven't been too good as a coach Oh, let's also talk about how you do in the first 2 weeks of every season. You are 1-10 in the first 2 weeks of the season in this Zac Taylor era. That includes the years that we have had Joe Burrow in those first weeks. Whether you want to talk about, I'll give you some slack. Last year wasn't fully healthy at the beginning of it. I don't really see what excuse you got for some of the others. Talking about your time at LA, you were the assistant wide receivers coach in 2017, and you were coaching quarterbacks in 2018. Coaching quarterbacks in 2018. You even coached quarterbacks at UC in 2016. Well, I don't know if you know this. You are paying your quarterback $275 million over 5 years, paying him about $55 a year. Surely that means your quarterback's good, right? Well, it does. It means your quarterback is really, really good. In fact, this year, he's an MVP contender if he's on a team that's 500, if he's on a team that's kind of competent. Let's take a deeper dive into who your quarterback is. Joe Burrow has 5 fourth-quarter comebacks, 7 game-winning drives. Let's look at some of those games. In 2021, season opener against Minnesota, 74% completion percentage. This is all game stats. 261 yards, 2 touchdowns. Next one was against Jacksonville a couple weeks later. 25 of 32, that's 78% completion percentage. 348, 2 touchdowns. Next one against Kansas City in 2022, January. 77% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns. I can go on. In all of these games, he has not thrown a single pick that he went on to lead a game-winning drive. He has thrown, at the least, a single touchdown, and that was against Tennessee in November of 2022. Taking a deeper dive into those games, yards per attempt has never been below 7. And in 7, when it was 7, it was the game against Tennessee. Besides that, the lowest was 8.11. And all of those, they had, at the least, been a fourth-quarter comeback, and they've all been game-winning drives. Not that that needs to be said. On some of those drives, 2 touchdowns on 2 of those drives to win it. I mean, it's starting to seem like it's the same story all over. You want to take a dive as to also why Bengals fans are really upset. The amount of times you have decided to sissy out and be like, hey, let's just play it safe. In 2021 against the Packers, I want to shout out here. I saw this on Twitter, at EAB_740. 2021 against the Packers, Zach ran 3 straight times. McPherson missed, took an L. I was at that game, great game. And I was like, we might actually be kind of good. 2021 against the Niners in overtime, ran the ball 2 straight plays, lost. Now, this past Sunday, you run the ball not 2 straight times because surely that'd be stupid. 3 straight times. You ran the ball 3 straight times in overtime after you get the ball on, the 39? And you settle for a field goal and you brick it. Now, granted, the hold was not good, but I'm not trying to blame this on the punter. I'm blaming it on you. You are an incompetent head coach. I could sit here and go on and on. Let's take a look at some of Joe Burrow's stats in situational games. When he's tied, this was in 2021, he was passing 73% completion percentage, had 8 touchdowns and 3 picks. Let's look at it in 2022. Heck, let's even look at it in 2024. This dude when he's tied, he's just a shade under 65%, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's money. He's cash money. Otherwise, you wouldn't be paying him all of this money. I can sit here and go on and on all day. It just is becoming blatantly obvious between, and I'm assuming Zac Taylor controls most of the calls that are made in the offseason in terms of who's coming to the team. You look at this last offseason, got Sheldon Rankins. Okay, he's been injured most of the season this year, and even when he played, he's a factor. He's there. He's making plays sometimes, but he's injured. Geno Stone, he has one of the worst PFF grades right now. And I don't care what you think about PFF grades. If it's low, you're bad. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, that's kind of my whole rant. Zac Taylor, I don't really understand why you still have a job. Robert Saleh just got fired up at New York simply because Aaron Rodgers just doesn't like him, I'm pretty sure. And Aaron Rodgers can't control the team when Rob's there. You still somehow have a job. Don't really know how that happens. You're not good. You've benefited off of your quarterback who has played like, at the worst, a top 10 quarterback in the years he's healthy. Playing like an MVP this year. Played like an MVP in 2022. 2021, you could argue he played like a top 7 quarterback that year. He was in talks to be a top 5 quarterback that year. He's one of the best in the league, and you just continue to sit here, not do stuff in the offseason, have these horrible schemes, and after every single game you go into the post-game press conference and you're like, oh, well, it makes me sick. Bro, watching you makes me sick. Watching you makes everyone in the stadium sick. So, yeah, that's my whole rundown of the Bengals. Hope you guys enjoyed that one.
That was beautiful.
Man.
The only thing I would like to add is that Zac Taylor also, in this previous game, iced his own kicker before.
Yeah.
That kick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a tactical mastermind.
After, as you mentioned, he ran it 3 straight times instead of giving it to the person who he pays $1 bajillion.
Yep.
Anyways, my takeaways from this week. Beautifully said, Matt.
Thanks.
As you mentioned, Robert Saleh got fired. He is a scapegoat.
Yep.
For the Jets, who employ an almost 41-year-old quarterback with a 21st rated QBR. Surprise, surprise. 32 teams, by the way. Didn't know. 21 out of 32. And Breece Hall, who has combined for 27 rush yards the last 2 weeks. That's not good.
Yeah.
Hasn't hit 65 rushing yards once this season and ranks 34 in yards. Number 34. There are 32 teams. So, yeah, Robert Saleh has been done terribly wrong. My other one is happening, and I knew it was going to happen. I said this a couple of weeks ago on the show. This Cowboys game would be a turning point at the quarterback position. I thought it would be the other way. It's the wrong way. Reports were that Russell Wilson, now healthy. And, of course, the Steelers have now lost 2 straight. And I really, 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 really hope they don't go to Russell Wilson because Justin Fields is the only offense. There is no Jalen Warren. Najee Harris, very good. 7th in carries, 21st in yards, 0 touchdowns, and a 3.3 yards per carry average. And George Pickens is double-teamed every play. And wide receiver 2 and 3 are Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller, who I'm not even sure Scotty Miller has seen the field. So I love this team. I can't wait to see how the next 3 weeks go because they look like they should be winnable games. But with an offense like this, probably not.
Colton, do you have anything you want to do? Wrap up a little bit of a therapy session going on here.
You said everything that could be said. One thing I would add is you also need to be pointing the fingers at the front office.
Yes.
Especially for what you mentioned, not doing much in the offseason, not paying T. Higgins, not paying Jamar Chase. That shoulders a lot of blame. I would shoulder the blame more on them than Zac Taylor for that, not shift any blame to Zac Taylor. And I think just the Zac Taylor experience can be just summed up in this Ravens game. First and foremost, you have the end of throughout the game, you're aggressive on offense. You're throwing the ball down the field, and it's working. Then in a section where I'd be like, I would have understood if they were a little more conservative. They still have that mentality, and Burrow throws a pick. Okay, whatever. We get the ball back, and you don't stick to your guns. You go with the run. But the entire game, the run has been doing well off of the pass. It's not just make it blatantly obvious. And then he has the audacity to turn around and try to blame it on Burrow. Say, Burrow, shit. There was 8 people on the front line. That was not a pass play. That was not a designed pass play. And I don't want to go too much more into detail because we spent too much on the Bengals. I wanted to leave with the playoff picture, though, because we currently have the Vikings, Commanders, Falcons, Seahawks, Lions, Bucks, and Cowboys in the NFC, which is about the same as last week, except the Cowboys snuck in there. But then we also have Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, normal. The Bills, Steelers have fallen a little bit, but the Broncos currently find themselves 6th in the AFC. standings.
Defense wins seeding. Isn't that how the phrase is always
But
gone?
Bo Nix looked good. He looked
That's
pretty
true.
good last
That's
week.
true.
I believe he had 2 or 3 touchdowns, and I think the team ended with like 30-something points. I don't know. Let's move on. I guess that's all I got. I just pain. I think we are a Giants loss away from Zac Taylor. Actually, never mind. Marvin Lewis was here for 18 years, so that just back to you guys.
Yeah. No, Zac Taylor's probably going to be here till he dies. So
He's a young fella, so
Dude's just going to
Good
have
luck.
that resume Super Bowl loss, and that'll carry on for 5 more years.
he's going to go 0-17 for the rest of his career, and every single post-game conference is they're not even going to ask him the question. He's just going to walk in and he's going to go like, makes me sick, you know. These guys put in a lot of work, and I just don't. I hate to see this happen.
Get sick, Zach, please.
Yeah, please on the side of the field, at least show like you throwing up. I'd be like, oh
I'd
man,
love
I'm
to see
fired
proof.
up. Yeah, but yeah, shifting from the NFL to WNBA playoffs. Alex talked about some playoff things that are going on. It's heating up.
where we left off were the game 2. So Liberty versus Aces game 3. The Aces came to play. They were up 50 to 47 and a half. 18 lead changes in that half, which is the most in a playoff game half in history. Liberty, after that, to start the third quarter, went 6 minutes without scoring, and they only scored 6 points in the third quarter. So they were down by 16 after that because, of course. And the Aces, therefore, got their 13th straight home playoff win, which is a WNBA record as well. They were going for their 14th in Game 4, and the Aces started the game 1 for 10.
Good start.
Yep. Only a 4-point lead for New York somehow after the first, though. Sabrina had 12 in that first quarter, while Las Vegas had 19. So that's what you want to do. In the second quarter, Phoebish and Jonquel Jones picked up the third fouls, and this allowed the Aces to go on a run. They also did this in the third quarter, Phoebish and Jonquel Jones. So the Aces kept it close heading into the fourth. It was only a 2-point game. Then New York shut the water off. The Aces had 2 points the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. And that rookie, Leonie Phoebish, led the series in plus-minus and then hit some big-time threes to help New York pull away for a 76-62 win to win the series and book trips to the finals. And then moving to the Lynx and the Sun, Game 3, 90-81 Minnesota win. All Sun starters in double digits, but only 4 bench points. That's a tough night. While Minnesota had 16 bench points, and Nafisa Collier, after a couple first rough Game 1 and Game 2, found her scoring again with 26 points. So then it went to Game 4, where Connecticut won 92-82. For Minnesota, Nafisa Collier scored big again with 29, and then Tisha Heidemann with 16 of the 22 bench points for them. But for Connecticut, point guard Ty Harris was back, and she had 20 points, which is a career high for her, as well as a career high in three-pointers made, 4 for 5. And her being back in the lineup meant Connecticut got to put Marina Mabry on the bench and provide a scoring spark that they didn't have really coming off the bench. And all this offense propelled them to a win. And we're recording this on Tuesday, and Game 5 is tonight, which I am very excited for. I think the Sun are going to win. Maybe that's just because I think that would make a better series in the finals. That's why I'm leaning that way. But I do believe that 1 through 5 they're better, so I think they'll win tonight. But we will see. I'm really excited for Game 5.
Yeah, sounds like it'll be a good one. And I don't know, since we won't be recording next week, put something on the socials. Let people know what's up. So yeah, moving on from that to least favorite segment in the show, post game presser, folks.
Before we get to that, I wanted to. It's not really breaking news, I guess. It was. I just got a notification about it though. Apparently, before 5 minutes before Sala was fired, he had demoted Nathaniel Hackett and gave play call duties to Todd Downing. if that doesn't have Aaron Rodgers' fingerprints on it, I don't know what does. Because Hackett is his guy.
Hackett sucks,
and he sucks. Yeah, absolutely, he sucks. That's not. Garrett Wilson wasn't complaining about Saleh. He was complaining about Nathaniel Hackett because he sucks.
Yeah,
he's not good. And I don't know what him and Aaron, they must do the same whatever they do.
It's an old man offense, so it fits that they have this 50-year-old quarterback at the helm running an old man offense.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe Saleh was trying to get some like actual creativity in the offense, and Aaron was like, whoa.
Yeah,
just let's calm down here. We're gonna get Devontae, we'll be fine. So bye, Saleh.
He said, "Not in my nursing home."
Yeah, for real. But I thought that was an interesting tidbit I didn't hear you guys mention. So
yeah,
but yeah, I guess we're ready for the least my favorite segment of the show.
Yeah,
but not the people's apparently.
Yeah, not the people's.
So where do we want to start today, boys?
You want to kick this one off?
I can.
All right,
kick
this one off, my friend.
The Band-Aid off, huh?
My favorite fantasy quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
There he is.
With another Houdini play right here. As he scrambles, as he does quite often, and then stiff arms that man and had him on the ground like Michael Irvin at a Miami game. To find Isaiah Likely in the end zone for a beautiful touchdown that pretty much easily secured the fantasy win for me. But that's not what's important here. What's important is this propelled the Ravens to a win and another Bengals loss, which is just beautiful to see.
1 second standing, 1 second ground.
What a stiff arm. You don't get stiff arms like that from quarterbacks nowadays. I love to see it.
What's sad about it is that, like, he was having such a good game, too, before that, Hubbard was.
Yep.
And now he's got that all over his feed.
Yep. Poor feller.
What you got?
Maybe if we had better defense players, that wouldn't be the case. But my highlight of the week is a guy who, Colt, I know you were really high on him, I think, going into the season.
A wee bit.
And he's proven a lot of people wrong. He's proven the haters wrong. He heard them, and he proved them wrong. And I think he is kind of a dark horse right now. I think he's having a little bit of, not exactly a C.J. Stroud year from last year, having a little bit of one of those years where it's a rookie, and he, very well could be stamping his name on an MVP if the defenses aren't careful. So Jaden Daniels getting out of the pocket a little bit, pressure from the Browns, nothing but a thing. Launching this puppy downfield, Scary Terry with a nuke catch. So
on a rope,
unstoppable. I think Jaden Daniels is, what would you guys say, top 10 quarterback right now?
I would wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely throw him in there, no doubt.
I really thought you were going with the Jeremiah Smith one-hander, but that's okay.
You know
that
what?
was a really good play.
I genuinely was going to, but then I was like, nah, I've been going home teams way too much.
Okay, that's fair.
I
respect it.
I feel like Jaden Daniels, he was in MVP talks last week.
Yep.
He might still be in it. If he wins this Ravens game, he'll be in it.
I was about to say it's going to be so fun to watch him and Lamar play.
Yeah.
It's really just Lamar and younger Lamar.
Yeah.
I feel like. But
better passing Lamar.
That was.
Ayo.
I was about
See,
to add that.
Colton said that at the beginning of the season. I
did.
did not believe it.
Yeah.
But wow, is he right? Wow.
The one thing I'm right about LSU. never right about anything else LSU related. But I'll throw a quick question to you guys before y'all wrap it up. Who do you got, Ravens or Commanders? On putting you on the spot here.
I'm going to have to go Commanders.
They're like identical teams almost, honestly.
Crap secondaries, mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Good run games.
Good run game.
I'm going to go with the Ravens just because I think they have honestly figured it out.
Yeah, I got to go Ravens. I think their defense is just a little bit better, but I think ultimately Derrick Henry is probably going to tear that team apart.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, no, you're probably right, but I picked the Commanders on the Norse bench warmers, so I'm going to stick with them here. They'll get old commies, So, yeah.
Clip that.
Guys.
Oh, no. I can already see the memes.
Yeah, that's going to get us trending again for sure. All right. Anything else you guys got to chat about or anything before we call this one?
I just wanted to say shout out Hoop Grid's legend, Ish Smith, on a fantastic career with 13 different teams. Love that guy.
That dude was on 90% of my grids. It was like, there's a 50-50 chance this guy was on the team. So
Hoop Grids legend.
Hoop Grids
And he
legend.
deserves his respect.
What's your best
Respect,
pull
man.
on Hoop Grids? I'm curious.
See, I always go like old time Lakers, so like
Oh,
Norton
yeah.
Nixon usually gets me like 0.5%.
Yeah. I love Brian Cardinal.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't know why, that's just like the random NBA player that always sticks. I never said it on here, obviously, but he's just like, oh, he played on these two teams. I just know his like resume off the top of my head for some
And
reason.
you start like a group of Hoop Grids.
Yeah,
I would love that.
that'd be ending segment. Plays post game presser with hoop grids.
Dude, I could play Hoop Grids all day. If I miss a day, I go back and play.
Real.
New podcast episode just dropped. Only hoop grids for an hour.
Just hour-long Hoop Grids.
All right.
Do you have anything, Matt?
It's actually funny that you mentioned that.
Hmm.
So, what was it you said earlier that made me think of a quote?
I said we're all really on this world if you think about
That's
it.
what it was.
Or something like that.
And I appreciate you for saying that.
You're so welcome.
I was recently taking a walk in a park near my house. And I don't want to say where my house is, and I don't want to say what the park is. Don't want fans coming and stuff. But I was recently taking a walk in my park, and I happened to see, because it's like up this hill. This might be giving away too much information. Up this hill, there is a swing set, and two, I don't know how old they are. They were probably like middle school, something like that. Two dudes just chilling on the swing, chatting some ball and stuff. I'm like, I'm one of the co-hosts of the Beyond the Score podcast. I'm gonna listen, see what they have to say.
Presented by the Northerner.
Presented by the Northerner. Yes, of course. And so I kind of was like, slowly walking and stuff, because I was running before that. I was on my 15th mile of my 30-mile run that I do every morning, and I heard him talking, and I'm like, let me start walking, hear what they gotta say. And this one kid goes, wouldn't it be so awesome to be Jaden Daniels is actually who he said. He said, wouldn't it be awesome to be Jaden Daniels? And his buddy was like, yeah, that would be cool. Make a lot of money and be really good at football, be talked about all the time, potentially, have an MVP at the end of this year. Everybody knows you. And his buddy was like, yeah, man, I would do anything to be a celebrity. And his buddy, the guy who was talking, said all the other stuff about like winning an award and stuff, put his hand out like this. And he goes, my comrade. Sorry. My comrade, I need you to know we're all on this earth together. And we need to enjoy each other and ourselves for the rest of our lives.
Perry Jones III.
Hey, that's a clutch one.
And that will do it for this episode of the Beyond the Score podcast. I just realized I don't have my script in front of me, so shout out Northern Media Services for letting us use this studio. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BT_the_word_score and YouTube at Beyond the Score 123. For myself, Alex Perez, Matt Supinger, director Colton Smith, go watch the North Bench Warmers podcast. We will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.